Thinking about self-publishing and don't know where to start? Join the Spa Girls each week for 30 minutes of honest advice, tips and resources. I'm Trudy J and I am here with Cheryl Phipps.
Hi there.
Wendy Vella.
Hello.
And Shah Barrett.
Hi.
Hello. And we have an amazing guest this week. We have Danielle Romero. Yay!
Yay!
We're at the Muppet Show. I should stop doing that.
Yeah.
Hi, Danielle.
Please.
Hi.
So Cheryl will read out the bio quickly and then we'll get into the topic of the day, which is switching genres, which Danielle has done successfully just recently. So we're super excited about that. Go, Cheryl.
So, Danielle Romero is a Snarky AF Latinx author. She's a mum of 3 and proclaims that she writes hot books. She's loud and proud and uses the word hella a lot when she talks and blames it on her NorCal roots. Born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, she now lives in Spokane, Wisconsin?
Washington,
sorry.
So
with
close.
Nearly there. With her little family, a painful parrot, and her dog who decided, even though she picked him, to prefer her husband's attention. Well, that's rude.
right?
Yeah.
I don't know how you get anything done with 3 children. I'm just putting that out there.
Lots of sleepless nights.
Yeah. I texted, when I was organising this interview, I texted Danielle at, like 8:30 our time, and it turned out it was about 1:30 in the morning for Danielle, and she was awake.
And she answered, oh
She
no.
answered, and I was like, oh no, I'm a bad person, because I didn't think about it.
No, which is fine, because I was just up.
You were up.
Working.
Awesome. Well, you are a superstar. So we'll start off with just an intro question. So when did you get into writing? Can you give us your sort of writing story, and how did you get into self-publishing? Just quickly.
So I started writing in January 2015 was when I published my first book. It's actually super weird, because I was never that person that was like super passionate about writing books. I used to want to be a journalist. I really liked English, but I never, for whatever reason, thought of like fiction. And I remember being in college and I was a communications major. So one of my professors was like, if you want to learn about marketing, start a blog. Find something you're passionate about and start a blog. So I started a book review blog. And I was reviewing books all the time and making contacts with other publishers and with authors and designers. And I remember Regina Wamba with May I Design did a cover contest. And I remember loving her covers and drooling over them. And when authors would reach out to me to do cover reveals, if she was listed as the designer, I always said yes. So I entered her cover contest and I won. And then I was like, oh crap, I have to write a book. And that's basically how it happened. I didn't even have a book when I sent her details for the cover. I was just like, this would be cool. This is what I want. She made it and I was like, all right, I'm going to write a book for that. And everything else just kind of came together from there.
Oh my goodness.
Serendipity or just meant to be, Danielle.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very cool.
Awesome. So the first book was 2015, and so that was, you started off in urban fantasy, is that right?
I did. I only recently made the change to contemporary romance this year. So for 5 years, I've exclusively done urban fantasy.
Okay, that's cool. And so what made you choose urban fantasy? Is that what you were reviewing on the book blog, or?
Yeah, it's what I was reading the most of. So urban fantasy and paranormal romance were kind of my cup of tea at the time. I don't think I even started reading contemporary romance until probably the last year and a half, to be honest. It just wasn't, I think I probably read all of the urban fantasy books that I was really after in the last, 10 years or so. So that's just kind of where I was at. And I think also I started becoming a reader in like the Twilight era. Don't judge me. So I, at the time, was like, Twilight for grown-ups. Like, that's what I was after.
Yeah. Awesome. And so I remember you saying somewhere that you went, when you published your first urban fantasy, you just went big. You kind of, or maybe it was as you were publishing, and you did everything that you could to kind of make sure that they were successful. So could you just give me a quick rundown of what you did, like the kind of things that you were doing to help them?
Yeah. So at the time, things were definitely a little bit different. What worked then, I don't do now, because it doesn't work, at least for me. But I am a firm believer in treating your author career as a business. So like with any business and any startup, there is an investment. So I spent probably close to $3,000 strictly on PR and marketing. That's not including editors or proofreaders or any of that. And I just kind of put it all out on the line. I hired people who knew more than I did. And unfortunately, they're no longer a company. But I hired PR. They got me, it was my very first book. I was on USA Today Online and was featured with them for a guest post on like world building. And they got me on a lot of really noteworthy blogs and sites. And then because I was kind of out there so much, that traction just kind of rolled into more. At the time, Heroes and Heartbreakers was a really big site. They picked me up as a January best bet. So I was featured of one of like the 5 books that they showcased in January is like, this is a book we think is going to be great. So a lot of things like that. I don't think blogs have as much impact now, but it was tons of blog tour stuff, tons of review requests, and really just motivated on like social media and bloggers. But I kind of tried to do everything I could. And it helped that I was in the blogger space because I had friends who were bloggers and I was like, hey, I wrote a book, come over here. And that helped me a ton too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so did you publish those books really fast, or was it sort of 7 books? Have I got that right? 6 or 7?
So I have, in that particular series, I have 6, but I have 7 urban fantasy books out at the moment with number 8 coming out this month.
So how often were you publishing? Sorry.
Not fast and not consistent.
Okay.
I was still very much in, like, I read mostly traditional books. I knew that I wanted to indie publish. But I read mostly traditional because that's who my contacts were with for like book reviews. So I thought that I could write a book a year. And I found out after the release of my first book that I could not. That, you know, readers were not okay with me only writing 1 book a year. So I think my first year I did 2. My second year, I think I did 1 and then 2 and then 1. And I kind of just, it was super sporadic, which is not something I would recommend, but I was also having babies and still finishing college and working a full-time job at the time. So it wasn't a huge priority. I'm
surprised you got anything done.
Yeah.
All of that.
Better now.
You've got
I'm much more consistent now.
Yeah, because you've got 3 kids and the youngest is 18 months?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're still pretty busy mum there as well. Like that's hardcore. We could talk about that all day as well. So what made you decide to move from urban fantasy? Because urban fantasy actually allowed you to quit that full-time job. Is that you were earning enough that you could do that?
Yeah, so I left my day job earlier this year. I have been in a financial position where I could have left my day job probably for about 2 years now. So yeah, I don't know. It paid the bills. I think I got in the habit of, I had always juggled multiple things. So why not continue juggling multiple things? But yeah, urban fantasy was enough. And then I figured since it was enough, maybe we could experiment a little bit.
Yeah. No, that's cool. And so, yeah, so what made you choose contemporary romance? And it's a high school bully romance, yeah? That is the...
Yes. Honestly, it just boils down to that's what I was reading. So I wrote urban fantasy because that's what I was binging and what I was really enjoying. And then I don't think I've picked at an urban, like I probably read 1 or 2 urban fantasy books a month in comparison to the 15 to 20 books total that I read a month.
Yeah.
So I've been on a contemporary romance kick probably since about January of this year. And I just was kind of like, oh, well, let's write one of those because that's what I'm reading. And I found that when I went to go write urban fantasies, they started turning more romancy.
Yeah.
And I released technically a paranormal romance earlier or later last year, and it was not great. So I felt like I just really need to commit one way or another. I'm either urban fantasy or I'm romance, and then not just blend the two. Yeah.
And so you were reading the high school bully romances. That was the yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, they're very popular at the moment, so that makes complete sense to me. I was expecting you to say there was some big marketing reason that you had done all this research, or
you would think so. No, and I know that people like to jump on trends and they like to write to market. I like to write evergreen. So even though my book is technically a bully romance in some ways, I consider it more of like an enemies to lovers romance. If you look at my reviews, my reviewers say it's not a typical bully romance. Like it still falls under that category, so I put it there for marketing purposes. But like as soon as this bully trend fades, I will have new covers and I will market it as an enemies to lovers romance instead. So I like to write evergreen. I like to write things that are going to sell for a long period of time, which is why on the urban fantasy side I do shifters and vampires, because people like those. I'm not going to get too creative and break the wheel.
So no turtle shifters or shark shifters.
Nope, and no mermaids. What else has been? There was
yeah.
Bear shifters.
yeah, no mermaids, no mermen. I don't do the prison books. I don't do reverse
Academy.
harems. So I read plenty of them because they're fantastic. But yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was the pen names, because you decided to have a different name from your urban fantasy. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my urban fantasy name is Danielle Annett, and it is my legal first name and then my husband's last name, because I'm a little bit too much of a feminist to change my last name. And when I was coming up with my contemporary name, I still like being me, I guess. I'm a firm believer in pen names. I think that they can be great marketing tools. Pippa Grant did wonders with hers. And, you know, having Pippa be the Pip Squad and the Pipsters Report, and like, she is a genius. And I try to be like, oh, maybe I can do something really cool like that. And I'm just not that creative. So really what it boiled down to me is I wanted it to be Mexican. Since I am Mexican, I wanted my author name to be Mexican. That was actually a thing I regretted when I took my husband's last name for my books, because I felt like I whitewashed myself. And I didn't really realize what I was doing until a few years later. And then you start realizing that diversity in books and in authors matters and representation matters. And then it was kind of like too late. I already had established myself as this person. So I used my name in Spanish and then my legal last name for my romance books, because I really wanted it to be representative of myself and of my culture, and I didn't want to whitewash myself again.
That's awesome. Cool. So again, I was expecting some kind of marketing reason about separating the two things, and it's you're full of surprises. It's fantastic.
Now, I will say, for those who have maybe taken Becca Stein's Strengths for Writers course, I'm a #1 strategic. So according to her, I am always thinking 10 steps ahead. I might not be able to explain why I came to this decision, but in my mind, it makes sense for marketing purposes, for writing purposes, for reader purposes. And it just is. It's one of those things we always, strategics like to tell themselves, that we just know how to do it right. And we don't have to tell you how we did it right. We just know that it is.
Oh, that's awesome.
Brilliant.
So I don't have an explanation for marketing purposes, but I'm sure in some form or fashion, my strategic was like, this is gold. Let's do that. And it just rolled out.
And it seems to be working. So
it seems to be working.
And you didn't stop there with the Mexicanness. You incorporated it into the book. So you made sure that you had a is that the guy on the cover, is he Mexican, or is he more just, you would call him
So he is, and I have one. I feel like he looks very Hispanic. I don't know that he's Mexican. Because it's not like there's a way that stock tells you that. They don't say like brown dude here. But I did intentionally, because I also do my own covers. So when I was looking for stock models, I was like, okay, does he look Hispanic? Does he look Hispanic? Kind of kept scrolling through. I did recently discover that the guy on my second cover is Italian, because I found him on TikTok, which was fine. He's supposed to be Honduran, but that's okay.
We won't tell.
And then when you got the audiobook, was also, you made sure that you had the right
yes. So I very much wanted to push this as an own voices book. So I'm a Mexican author. I went for Hispanic looking stock, which I can say with like 90% certainty that he is Hispanic or Mexican or Latinx of some sort. And then when I hired my narrator, I hired a new narrator that was Hispanic as well.
That's cool. That's awesome. So providing the voices as well. I think that's great.
Yes.
Literally the voice. Awesome. Okay. And so if we go back to the differences between urban fantasy and contemporary romance, what would you say the differences are between those genres for you? Like, what have you noticed about, I mean, aside from the obvious of, shifters versus no shifters, but are there?
I guess, so people used to always tell me that urban fantasy was plot driven and not character driven. And I tend to disagree with that because I do think that my characters in my urban fantasy dictate a lot of what happens. But now that I've written romance, I also do agree with that statement more. Because in urban fantasy, there's typically, not always, but typically a slow burn romance arc over the course of the entire series. But you can pull that out and the books still stand on their own. You can't do that in a romance book. You can't take the romance bits out. And I experimented with rewriting my contemporary book as an urban fantasy. And I ended up adding, of course I did. Well, in my mind, I thought, because I had urban fantasy readers that were like, oh, we want to read it. And I was like, oh, but I don't think I want you to. How about you wait and I'll give you an urban fantasy version. And they were like, okay, cool. And I'm thinking it's like double dipping. You get 2 books for the price of 1, right? I added like 30,000 words
Wow.
to the book. So there was a big difference there in just like world building and getting other things. And then also I just kept having conversations with friends. I was like, but things need to happen that like, because usually in a romance, the issues are between the hero and the heroine, like they are butting heads. And in urban fantasy, outside forces are kind of, so that was a big difference. And I don't think I really understood the true differences until I went through kind of that rewrite process. And I was like, oh my God, these are so drastically different.
Yeah.
So how did it come out? Was it well received?
So it actually comes out on the 25th of this month, and we will find out. And that book will kind of be the determining factor, I feel like, for me on where I prioritize my time.
So basically you had to get a whole new audience, didn't you, when you moved from one genre to the other? Because there is no crossover.
I didn't tell. Yeah, there's no crossover, and I did not tell my urban fantasy readers. So I have a handful that are like on my personal Facebook page who know, because I promote my books and talk about my books on my personal account, since it's with all of my author friends, and we do the whole like, hey friends, can I pop in your group for this or that or whatever. But I didn't share it in my reader group. I didn't share it in my newsletter, on my website. I tried not to, and then I created extra social media accounts for the romance pen name. So yeah, that's completely, I try very hard to keep them very separate.
Because you would mess up
also bots.
I don't want to, the algorithms would mess. No, you don't want them mixed up. So, but this book that you're putting out, so you've written, are you saying that it's kind of the contemporary romance but made into urban fantasy, or is it just a completely different book?
It is. So
that's fascinating.
It's so weird. Okay, so the characters are like the characters themselves are the same. Their wounds, their damage, their characteristics and mannerisms, those are the same. A lot of the dialogue stuck, but the good chunk of the story had to shift. And like, not to spoil the contemporary book, but like there is like my 2 pivotal moments. One is my heroine is sexually assaulted, and another is there's a confrontation with police. And neither one of those can happen in my urban fantasy world. They wouldn't make sense. So then I was like, okay, well, somebody can't come and try and rape her, because that wouldn't happen in UF. We're going to get attacked by vampires. And like,
that's kind of the same.
And then, in Wicked Devil, my contemporary, after the assault, there's the incident, there's the occurrence or whatever of like going to the hospital and having to deal with what comes after that. And again, that doesn't happen in urban fantasy. And she's like broken over here because of the trauma she has experienced. I'm like, how do I make her broken over here, but for different reasons, right? Like, it can't be, I don't want people touching me, or I'm like afraid of men because it's not the same. So a lot of it got completely rewritten.
Okay.
But I feel like the skeleton was still there.
Okay. It's a lot of work. So this is going to
it took me longer to rewrite and edit than it did to write Wicked Devil to begin with.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's like for me when I'm trying to edit older books and get them up to speed. I feel like it takes it longer than just rewriting a new book.
Way longer.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Danielle, will that be the first of a new series potentially in the urban fantasy that?
Yes, so I am pitching it as, so my urban fantasy series is called Blood and Magic. So this one is going to be Blood and Magic Hellbound, because my my contemporary is like a high school bully romance. So this one basically became like an academy romance, because then I got to keep a lot of those things. So they're at Hellbound High instead of the contemporary school, and like I tried to keep as many of those elements and just renamed everything. So it is book one in a new series, but I kept with my same world so that I could kind of recycle my world building, just different location, years later, none of my old cast from my other series type of thing.
Okay, that's awesome. I'll be interested to see how that goes. So
I know.
Exciting.
We'll find out.
I'm sure it'll go amazing. So we talk about the contemporary romance you've putting this book out. How did you approach the launch? Did you go all out like you did with your urban fantasy?
I did. I will say I feel like it's easier to go all out with romance than it is with urban fantasy, because there are so many more PR companies out there that focus on romance. So for those of you guys who attended RAM last year, we made some great contacts there. And I hired a PR company that had spoken and been at RAM. So it was a big chunk and an investment. But I wanted, again, I always like to put my best foot forward, because if it flops, then I know, hey, that just wasn't for me. But I don't ever want to have to think, well, could it have gone better if I did this? Or could it have gone better if I did that? I'd rather just leave everything on the table. And I thankfully earn enough of an income from my urban fantasy books to let that kind of take the hit for me. I understand some people aren't always in that situation where they just have extra capital sitting around to test and to play with. But for this one, I did kind of all the things. I hired PR, I put my book on NetGalley, I hired other tour companies for cover reveals, I did the Goodreads giveaways. I was super active on social media, and I blew a lot of money on ads for pre-order ads, because pre-order ads have a horrible conversion rate. And I know that they have a horrible conversion rate, but I wanted also bots to populate before the book launched, because those can take a few weeks. So I just poured out the money.
And so how it's like, pour out the money.
And don't even ask me how much, because I didn't keep track, and I'm so glad that I did. And then I tried to do all the things right, which some of it worked out and some of it didn't. I tried having all 4 editions of my book available on launch day. So ebook, paperback, hardback, and audio. We had some hiccups in audio, unfortunately, so it looks like that's going to be out probably about a month after release, but nothing that we can do there, but we tried.
Yeah. Did well to have the other 3 out. Well done. So but when you look at it, it's all sort of amazingly kind of well put together. Like you've got this great cover, but I know there's a lot of hard work. I saw you I'm in a group that you're in, you worked on that cover for quite a while and got lots of opinions on it and stuff. So I want to make sure that people realize that this was kind of like a long process of kind of making sure that this was the perfect book, that it is as well as it could be, like the writing and the cover and the marketing and stuff, and not just this.
Oh yeah, and it was definitely like I tested covers, I tested stock images. I'm a firm believer in market testing. So even though I feel like I'm going to do what I want and write what I want it to do well. So I'm not just going to say like, ooh, I love this cover. It doesn't matter that everybody else hates it. I'm going to say, I like this cover and this cover and this cover. And even if I like one more than the others, let's see which one sells better and which one is more clicky. And I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And I did do tons of, research checking tropes and testing my blurbs and having different people check my blurbs and hiring people to help me write my blurb and tweak my blurb to make sure that that was where it needed to be, and researching keywords and binging more books to see who I wanted to target, because I think a lot of people just assume you target for the same genre, and I don't target that way. I target for people who write like me. So if you're in, you know, contemporary bully romance and I'm in contemporary bully romance, but you write in third person and I write in first, I'm not going to target you, because I find that readers have a preference.
Yeah.
That makes
No,
sense.
that's very true. And in fact, with that, they can be quite, like, people will hate one or the other of first or third person. They won't even, it's not even.
And even with past and present, everybody has their little things.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
with
a
that
really
in
good
mind,
point. Go.
I was just going to say, with that in mind, and you're talking about everything you did for launching, I assume that you would have a newsletter list. Would you do swaps?
I do swaps. I'm very picky about them. I see a lot of authors who are like, I have this book coming up and does anybody want to do swaps? And they post up a form. I've done that, but then I don't actually do it with everybody that's in there. I'm super picky. I feel like your newsletter list is something that you like treasure and you cultivate. I made some mistakes with my urban fantasy list in doing like newsletter builders and things of that nature. I don't do those anymore because I learned my lesson, had to scrub my list 150 times. So for my contemporary list, I am very like possessive of that. I'm much more inclined to let you pop in and do like a swap on social media, or to do BookBub swaps, because people like to do like the BookBub recommendation swaps. Or even Melissa Storm had made a suggestion before. She will boost a post. So it's like, you share my book in your newsletter and I will spend $10 and boost a share of your book on my Facebook page. So I'm much more inclined to do something like that than a free-for-all. Because I do swap, but I like to have read the book, or for you to be like my actual friend and I know you. Unless you're bigger than me. Like if you're 100 times bigger than me and you magically want to do a swap with little old me, like, sure. But
100% I'm there.
Like if LJ Shen came calling, I would say, yes, ma'am. But I also read her books, so it's I've read you, I know who you, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
And hopefully you guys don't hear the bird.
I can hear the bird, but
I can hear the birds.
We can still hear you.
Sorry. Such a noisy jerk.
Is this the one that doesn't like you very much and he likes your kids?
He hates me. He's sexist. He doesn't like women.
Oh, wow.
Any women.
Wow, okay. That's interesting. That's a random thing for a bird not to like. I mean,
isn't it?
Did you get him? Anyway, no. I'm
Don't go there, Trudy. Don't go there.
I want to know more about the bird. Okay, moving on. So we've talked about some of the stuff. So you've got your newsletter. So did you do kind of a launch to your newsletter? Did you do Facebook ads after the pre-order period was over? Like, how do you?
So I ran Facebook ads probably a month or two before release for just like on and off. I ran them really, really low. So I would spend $5 to $10 a day, and I only kept them running if my cost per click was at like 3 and 4 cents. If it went over 4 cents, I redid them and changed it up because I knew the conversion was going to be horrible. So I really wanted to pay like pennies. And then I ramped them up probably 3 or 4 days before release and spent more. So I ran a month before, I probably ran for a week, and then I took a 3-week break, and then I ran ads leading up to launch. I also did do a 5-chapter preview, and that's probably how I built most of my newsletter list. I did the first 5 chapters on BookFunnel, and I asked a bunch of my author friends if I could pop into their reader groups and share a preview of the book. So then their readers downloaded the sample, which put them on my newsletter. And then I also got a lot of newsletter subscribers from Facebook takeovers. I'm not typically, like for urban fantasy, I've done takeovers and I had decided I hated them, that they were useless, that I didn't really get anything out of them. That's a completely different ballgame when you get into romance. They are fantastic. So I participated in other authors takeover events, and that was like an entry to like enter my prize, come and join my newsletter, or, you know, download. I tried to direct people to the sample. I didn't just want them to join my newsletter and then be like, what the heck am I doing here? I was like, go and download the sample of my book in the hopes that they read it and like it and want to keep going. And then that put them on my newsletter. So I did a lot of that, and then Facebook ads, but my list is not that big, because I am trying to grow it organically. I think I'm sitting around 350-ish people right now.
But if they're all really engaged and want to buy it, that's better than having a bigger list that isn't
Yes,
working,
I will
right?
say my open rate is over 68%. So
that's good. Yeah.
been good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
How
awesome.
often do you send out your newsletter?
I aim for weekly. On the romance side, I'm not as great about being consistent with every week. Sometimes it's every other week. But my goal is weekly.
Okay, that's cool. And do you have a Facebook group? Because you're talking about how, but because I'm kind of fascinated by that, because I'm writing an urban fantasy and with no contemporary romance, and these guys have got kind of contemporary romance stuff going on. And so the fact that it's different, people react differently to different genres on those in the Facebook groups is fascinating to me. Like, do you have a Facebook group for urban fantasy / yeah? And do you find that those are different? Are they more engaged?
They are. Well, so I would say at the moment, my urban fantasy group is more engaged because they know me, because I have a better relationship with them. I do get engagement out of my contemporary group, but it's not quite as active, or it might take a few days before I see as many comments on a post. But I do definitely have both. I do think that they're both worthwhile. And I do try to actively grow them, though if I had to choose between one or the other, I would go newsletter over a Facebook group.
Yeah, sure. And there was something else that I had there in my head to ask.
Can I ask about the launch that you did? So you've spent like a ton of money and it worked. Will you do that every time?
Yes, probably. I hired the same PR for book 2 because it was a great experience. I am probably not going to hire them for book 3 strictly to see what I can do on my own, which terrifies me. But I also want to test that, because so for one of the companies that I hired, it was a $450 investment, which in the grand scheme of things is not a ton. But what if I had that $450 and just did it on Facebook ads on launch day?
Yes.
So what does
that
the
could give me a different response.
What does the PR company actually do? What is their what are they doing for you for your launch?
So they reach out to bloggers, and there's still a blog tour. They also reach out to Instagrammers. So there's an Instagram tour. They coordinate reviews. They create graphics for me for the cover reveal and for launch day, and those get distributed to bloggers and to Instagrammers. They also put together, they track my reviews. So at the end, when Wicked Devil was done a few weeks later, I got a nice PDF that had like little snippets from reviews kind of all curated for me, which is really great to just copy paste and slap that sucker into the Amazon. Like when you scroll down at the bottom and you have your editorial reviews. So they did that. So it's I like to think of it more as like they're generating buzz, because you can't track direct sales from that.
No.
But they work on all of the buzz for me.
No, that's cool.
And they were
very interesting.
It's also a time saver too, isn't it? I mean, it's a trade-off with paying someone. You don't.
It is, which is really hard for me to pay people to do things that I know that I can do.
You can only do so many things though.
But yeah, you sometimes have to prioritize, is my money or is my time better spent on me reaching out to all of these bloggers and all of these individuals, or is it better if I just work on these words?
Yeah, totally. So I saw somewhere posting, see, I'm clearly stalking you on Facebook, I'm just saying.
You can stalk me.
You mentioned that the audience for contemporary romance, maybe specifically bully romance, is very voracious. They're also quite, I think you showed some graphics that people, possibly even before the book came out, that they would started sending you. And
yeah, so I had ARC readers through the PR who made graphics of my characters and my world and the little QB things, and they put quotes and tweets, and it was so cool because I've been writing urban fantasy for 5 years and nobody has ever done that for me. And then I was getting DMs and messages from people asking about my characters and asking about things. I did a Q&A in my reader group, and I've done Q&As with Urban Fantasy before too, been like, hey, do you guys want to know stuff? And I might get 1 or 2 questions, nothing too crazy. And I had like a slew of, like, they wanted every little detail, and it was like, oh, this is like exciting. And I thought it was going to be the opposite, because romance readers tend to be binge readers. They read so many more books. I thought you're going to, read and move on, read and move on. And urban fantasy readers are usually like maybe 1 a week or a couple a month. And so I wasn't expecting as much positive obsession in a way.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It's pretty
But
cool.
it's been super cool. And it was one of those things I remember when I saw the graphics for the first time, and they post them with their reviews. So like on Goodreads, you see the graphics, and on Amazon, you see the graphics under the review.
Yeah.
I felt like I made it. I was like, oh, I've seen other authors in their reader groups, like people make graphics for them. Like, oh, that's it. Like, how do I get my people to do that?
Yeah.
So that was super cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, I like that too.
My sense is that it's a slightly younger readership, even in urban fantasy, and very adept at using phone apps and image apps, and so it's easy for them to create. I mean, no, not at all taking away from the fact that.
No, I will say
she's made it, Shah. She's made it.
No, I'm not saying
the
that.
bulk of my readership, I know that like for a lot of romance authors, they tend to target over 30.
Yeah.
I do really well in like the 18 to 45 range, where some are like, I'm looking like 40 to 65, and it's like, I probably sell books to them too, but they're not my target. I do really well with the younger ages.
No, that's cool. I just wanted to read a quote. It's actually so it's not a quote, a review that you got, which I wish that I had. Just saying. I wish I could give this more than 5 stars because of how magnificently this author added so many aspects of the story that I had never read before. Okay, that wasn't one I meant to read. I meant to read the top one. Sorry, but that's also a good review. Like, yay. Yeah. This one is, oh my God, I think I found a new favorite author. I picked this book up and literally didn't put it down again until I'd read every last word. I stayed up way past my bedtime, and I'm not even a little bit sorry.
That's so cool.
I'm not sorry for staying up. Anyway, sorry, that was just random.
That was very cool.
Yeah, it's been super nice to get so much positive feedback, because I feel like on my urban fantasy, I'm well received in that, like, I sell well. I make a full-time living off of my urban fantasy books, but there are still plenty of people that do not like them. And up until I want to say like 2 days ago, every single review, and I have like 45 on Wicked Devil, was 4 or 5 stars. I think I got my first 3-star rating. They didn't take the time to leave a review for me, but I got my first 3-star rating just a few days ago. And it was, I remember like looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, like they like it. Really?
Yeah.
Because I was so anxious about it, because I did touch a lot of topics that are controversial. Because there is, like I said, there's a confrontation with police, and with the time that we are in right now. And that was something I really discussed with friends of mine, of like, should I take that out? Because I had kind of come up with this idea before everything.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if that's like, is that bad? And I ended up leaving it in. And then my heroine does get raped, and it's not, I didn't gloss over it. And the aftermath is not glossed over, and it's very there. And I was like, is that too much? So I didn't know how it was going to be received, but it's been received really well, which is
That's good.
That's awesome.
Validating.
Yeah. So when's the next book going to be out?
So January 4th is the scheduled release date. I had gone back and forth with doing it sooner, but we have elections coming up, and then there's Thanksgiving, and then there's Christmas, and those are just historically bad times to release a book. So for my readers who are like anxiously chomping at the bit, there will be ARC copies before that, but I won't do a release until January.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I think that's most of my questions, but what I want to know is, I've got 2 more questions. What advice do you have for people who are thinking about switching genres? Because it is kind of against that, what everyone tells you, like you said, your friends told you not to do it, and it's worked out really well for you. And it,
I think at the end of the day, you have to be passionate about it. I don't believe in being a trend follower, which is where you typically see people fail in genre jumping. Because there's this thought process that like, oh, well, so-and-so is making all of this money over there. Let me go do that. Well, if you don't really like that and you're not passionate about that, I think that your chances of success are much smaller. But I also do think that if you are going to change genre, you need to commit 150%, which is why I genuinely went full bore. I put in just as much time with my contemporary book as I do with my urban fantasy books. My contemporary self has its own website, its own social media accounts, its own newsletter. I don't cross things over. It is a completely separate entity and, in my mind, a completely different business. So I think you have to prioritize that. That if you want to do it and you want to be successful, you need to do it right. And it needs to be something that you're passionate about. For the same reason that most of us, we write books because we're passionate about them, because we're passionate about our characters or our stories or our genres. So you need to still stick in that. Hopefully that made sense.
It's fascinating. You're talking about making them almost separate businesses. That's a really interesting way to look at them. Doing
your research.
Because
they are. And like the market is completely different for romance versus urban fantasy. And same, even if you stayed in speculative fiction, if I was writing science fiction, that's a whole different audience. It's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different expectations for covers. And, I think you really have to treat them differently, and you have to give up some of your, I guess, wants, which you have to do in writing anyway. Like if my romance kind of flopped, it's a failed business. And I can't afford to spend the financial investment and the time over in there. For the same way that with my book that's coming out this month, it's urban fantasy, that will kind of dictate where I prioritize my time. Because right now, Wicked Devil earns more than half of my daily sales, that one book alone. I had, I want to say like yesterday, 45,000 page reads on that one book. And my next best was like 7,000 for one title. So I'm kind of like, Wicked Devil is having almost as many page reads as all 7 books over here. And some of that has to do with it being a new release and Amazon algorithms and things like that. But because I haven't released an urban fantasy book since September of last year, but at the end of the day, you have to make a business decision. And if I need to publish, if I can only do 1 book a quarter, what name is going to get them?
Talked to Ines Johnson, and she said exactly the same. She's got her pen name that really is the bread and butter, and that gets the most attention. And yes, she has others, but it's just putting that business hat on is so important.
And it's good to have the others, because romance might make the money for me, but there are going to be times when I do not have romance words to give. And rather than not writing, because that's kind of how Wicked Devil came to be. I didn't have urban fantasy words because I was reading romance and I wanted to write romance. So I wrote the words that I had, and it worked out great. And so sometimes you do kind of need some things to juggle, whether it's different names or different genres or just different series. But at the end of the day, you do gotta make smart business sense.
That's very good advice.
So I've got a question that I'm sure everybody listening to this is going to want answered, and that is, how do you do it all, Danielle? How do you manage 2 separate business, effectively people, pen names, with the social media associated with that, as well as having a young family and writing? How do you kind of,
and designing covers
logistically, and design your own covers? How do you logistically manage it all?
I don't know. If I figure it out, I will. Like, that's the horrible truth. I wish that I had a way, and to make it worse, like my to-do list is never ending, because I do have the urban fantasy name, the contemporary romance name. I now am homeschooling my kids full time, and like not even virtual school. Like, I pulled them out of school and we are full on homeschooling because virtual school failed where I am concerned. They did not meet my expectations. Plus I love my husband to death, but for whatever reason, when you are home, your significant others sometimes want to shove you in that stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home wife box. So I now also pack lunches and cook dinner and clean the house more than I ever did when I worked a full-time day job. And it doesn't matter that I still have more than a full-time day job, and that and I say this with love, and he'll hopefully never hear this podcast, but I out-earn him too. But I still have more things. And then I do run a freelance design consultancy business.
Oh my goodness.
And I put in close to full-time hours over there because I have authors that I work with on retainer. So it's a lot of things, and I have no idea how, like, I usually just tell people I don't watch TV. I think I don't have a lot of free time. And I don't do a lot of nothing, I guess. Like a lot of people, you know, I see all of my author friends and stuff, they're like, oh, I'm binging this Netflix show. And I'm like, I can't tell you the last time I watched Netflix. I don't watch television. I don't do a lot of the like piddly, relaxing kind of activities. I do this and then I move on to that and then to that. But I also am a firm believer in grinding while you can. I don't want to do this forever. I would like to retire early. I think the millennial generation looks at their parents and says, I don't want to do that. So like, I know my parents neither one of them are going to be able to retire until like the tail end of the retirement age window, like 68 to 72. I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to have to work myself to the bone. I would love to retire at 50, where I just like passively write books when I feel like it and travel, because I have enough income and enough of a backlist to support me on that. So that's kind of where I am. I feel like I'm still young. I'm only 31. So I would like to grind as hard as I can while I can, so that when I'm tired, I don't have to.
Good for you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you go, share.
Well, I was just thinking, because prior to when we started the interview, we had this amazing epiphany about how Danielle works her planner, and I have to say planners. And so we should give our listeners and our viewers a nice surprise, shock, or whatever they might think of this. Go.
So I have 5 planners that I tend to work with. And I also, you can kind of see it in the video, I have a Kanban board up there, which I will say has kind of been a game changer for me. But I use those multiple planners to keep myself on track so that I don't forget things. I have a planner for homeschooling, so I know what's going on there. COVID has made my social life pretty chill. I don't travel, I don't see people, so that kind of stuff I didn't have to worry about anymore. But I have a freelance planner because I need to keep track of hours. I have a writing planner and a social media planner, and kind of like a daily life journal planner, budget planner thing. So lots of ways, lots of planners, lots of things to try to keep me organized. I do not have a meal planner though. So
wow, that's good. You just freelance that. You just freelance that.
I do. I'm all for leftovers and reinventing things.
That's so
There's no meal planning.
Okay, awesome.
The kids don't want fancy anyway.
So do you sit down every morning and go, okay, here's the, like, how often do you sit with the planners and plan things?
Never. I just pull them out when I need them.
Writing stuff. When do you do the writing in of the things that you're going to do?
When it comes up or when I think about it.
Okay.
I guess like I have like a stack that I keep here, and then I also have a planner cart over there. And as things come up, like if I happen to be getting into my newsletter for whatever reason, I will grab my social media planner and I will see who I have newsletter swaps with, because if I'm already in here, even if it's, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks out, I can start popping those in and pre-scheduling. And when I do social media, I try to use like buffer and pre-schedule stuff. But I don't actually look at my planners every day. And I don't write in them every day. They're more to kind of just keep me on track. So I know if I have marketing stuff coming up, here's a list of all of the things I need to get accomplished. I'm a little bit more diligent when it's time for writing, but also for the most part, once it's up on my Kanban board, I don't necessarily have to look at my planner all the time, because it's much more task oriented. And I just, there's one sticky, pull it down, grab and move on to the next one.
Okay.
Anybody
awesome.
wondering about how this works, and I know Danielle, I think we were on the same course actually, HB90 by Sarah Cannon, spelled Cannon. She has her Heart Breathings blog, Heart Breathings YouTube channel, which is a must watch for anybody into any writers or creatives into planning. And she talks about her Kanban board and that kind of thing too. So yay.
Fascinating. And we should probably put links to Becca Syme's courses too, because we talked about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was great. Becca Syme's course, after I took Becca Syme's course, she basically gave me permission to do things the way that I wanted to do them. And I wrote and edited like a devil in 45 days.
Wow. Yeah.
And it went through 3 rounds of editors, not with me, but like I had enough time to send it to editors, get it back, and go through edits all within 45 days, because that course basically gave me permission to write the way that I wanted to and to stop doing what everybody else was telling me to do.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I want that.
That's important. Yeah.
And it gave me permission to write the characters that I wanted to do, to not,
Isn't it
whitewash
funny?
my cast.
Isn't it funny how much of what we do is what we think we should be doing and not what we just want to do? So that's awesome. I'm glad that you did that course.
Okay, so the course we're talking about is Becca Syme's Write Better Faster. She also has a Strengths for Writers as well.
I was going to say the Strengths for Writers is the one that I took. I have not taken her Write Better Faster.
I haven't done that one yet. I've done this. I'm a strategic too, but I haven't done that Strengths. That's my next one on the
list.
hopper.
Awesome. Okay, any last pieces of advice, Danielle, for our avid listeners?
Just at the end of the day, I think you should always treat it like a business. Because if you would like to make business money, then you have to treat it like a business. If you would like to make hobbyist money, then go ahead and treat it like a hobby. And just accept whichever bucket you decide to be in at the end of the day, because you're responsible for your success.
That is wise words. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, if people want to check you out, where is the best place to go?
Oh gosh, that's hard. I guess my website, Daniela-Romero.com is my contemporary. Danielle-Annett.com is my romance, and coffeeandcharacters.com is my freelance. Awesome. Okay.
Sure. And where can we be found, Shah?
Well, surprisingly, we can be found at spargirlspodcast.com.
And it's a shock.
It's a shock.
A hell of a shock.
And if you haven't seen us on YouTube, come along to YouTube and watch us on here in all our Technicolor glory. And we're also on Twitter and Facebook at Spargirls Podcast.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Danielle, and to everyone else.
Brilliant.
Thanks for listening. And we will be back again next week. See you all.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.